going to be in Dutch dialect, and it's all about Zachary Katekut's Kate. Oh, I had the worst time last week what you ever see. Katrina, that was mein Frau, went away to make a little picnic. Well, as I was been having to shake on ages and didn't feel pretty good, I stayed home. Well, as I was walking around the ponyard, I seen that same old blue hen come out from under the barn, a saying, "Ka ka 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 ka." And I thought to myself, maybe there was a nest with eggs under there. So I pulled out half a dozen more stones and made a hole so big as I can crawl under. And then as I was crawling around under, all at once I spied the prettiest little cat that you ever see. He was all black with white stripes and was shrugged up in a little paw fast asleep. Well, we was been wanting a cat because there was so many mouses in the house. And I thought to myself, if I can get me that one, I'll make Katrina a little surprise party. So I crawled along so still as never was till I got up close to him. Then I made a grab, and I catch him by the neck so that he don't can bite me. But, ach, my goodness, that smell. It was worse as 100 pairs of Limburger. I thought I had stepped in something that was dead. But I hold that little kid up close to me and climb out so quick as I can. When I got out in the barnyard, there was that pig shake Mosher going by. And then he said, seen me, he said, "Zachary, you old Dutch fool. What you doing with that skunk?" "Skunk," I said, and I dropped him so quick like he was hot. Well, Shaky laughed like he would kill himself. And I asked him what I can do to get me that smell off. Well, he said the only thing was to be buried in the ground until the earth absorbed the smell. And he said he would dig the hole and fix me in if I wish. Well, I think that was good of Shake. And I think if I can get me that smell off before Katrina comes home, I won't say anything about that little kid to anybody. Well, just then Shake said he was in a hurry and he must go away, and he went away to the village. Pretty soon, Gavik, a flylight on my face, and I couldn't brush him off 'cause my hands was very dull. In a minute more, as 100 flies, and everything was crawling all over my head, and I think on spit and blow till I think I was going crazy. By and by I heard a noise down the road and looked, and there was about every man, woman, and children in the village running right over the hill to my house. You see that big Shake Moser, when he went to the village, he told him there was a man buried alive up to Katekut's. And they all come to see what it was about. And they brought shovels, big axes, and everything they brought to dig me out. There they dig me out, and I throw away them clothes, and I wash and wash. But when Katrina come home at night, I smell so that she make me sleep in a barn for whole day. I think I shall move away. Everybody wants to know if I want to buy a kid, and I don't can stand this much longer yet. This one's about tobacco. I've got a husband that likes to chaw tobacco. Why, he's got a cud inside his face big as an apple. And spit, you wouldn't believe it. It spit in the house and spit out of doors. It spit in every room and spit behind the broom. I told him, now see here, Hezekiah Bruce, if you must chaw tobacco, you shall swallow all the juice. Miss Dorothy entertains the minister. Good afternoon. Come right in and have a chair. Oh, no, not that one, because the spring's broke at one side, and it sags so it makes you most seasick to rock in it. Oh, yes, Mama's home, but she ain't got fixed up yet. She had to make so much good stuff to eat, 'cause you was going to be here to supper. And she only began to get dressed up a few minutes ago. She told Pa she just didn't know what to have for supper. And Pa said to have deviled ham and deviled eggs and devil's food, 'cause they got such wicked names that maybe you wouldn't eat 'em, and then there'd be more left. Oh, yes, we're all pretty well, thank you, except Mama had a real bad headache yesterday afternoon, but that was 'cause she didn't want to have to go to missionary meeting. Uh-huh, of course I read the Bible, and I know lots of Bible verses, and Mama tells us things and then asks us questions, and I can answer lots of them. And oh, Pa knows some of the funniest answers to some of them. Mama asked me what terrible calamity happened to Adam in the Garden of Eden. And Pa, he said it was that the Lord made him a wife. It makes Mama hoppin' mad to have him say things like that. Say, I know a Bible conundrum. Who was the first man in the meat market business? Why, can't you answer that? It was Adam, when he furnished the Lord with a spare rib. And say, supposing you'd wake up in the night and find a great big thief stealing all your silver. What book of the Bible would you say to him? Can't you answer that one either? Why, you'd say, leave it to cuss. What? You think that's wicked? Well, now, how can anything be wicked that's out of the Bible? Oh my, yes. I know lots of Bible stories about Joseph in the pit, and Jonah in the whale, and Daniel in the lion's den. Oh, say, last summer when I went to Madison to go to the circus with Uncle Will, we saw a man in the parade riding in a cage with some lions. And I said, oh, Uncle Will, there's Daniel in the lion's den, ain't it? And Uncle Will said yes. And I said, is the good Lord keeping the lion's mouth shut today too? And Uncle Will said, he don't have to keep 'em shut anymore, 'cause Daniel's so old and tough now that the lions couldn't eat him if they wanted to. I hope you ain't getting tired of waiting. I guess Mom'll be down pretty soon. Pa says she ought to live over in Africa where they don't wear any clothes, 'cause it takes her so long to get dressed up. But I don't think she's going to dress up very nice today, though, 'cause she don't want you to think that we can afford to give much to the church. She said she was going to have you come to visit this week, 'fore we get our new leather couch and Brussels rug. What? Why, yes, of course I say my prayers. Only I don't make mine up in my head the way you do yours. I learn mine, and I know two, and one of them so long that some nights Mama has to shake me to keep me awake till I get to the end of it. Mary, our cook, knows a prayer that's awful short. One night we had so much company that I had to sleep with her, and when she got her nightgown on, she just sat down on the edge of the bed and said, "Lord, I'm tired." Wasn't that nice and short? But Mama won't let me do that way. She makes me kneel down and say a great long one. What's that? Maybe I better tell Mama you're here? Oh, she knows it, 'cause she saw you coming down by the corner just as she went to get fixed up. She said it was just like you to come so early. Oh, dear, I do just wish it was supper time, 'cause we're going to have so much good stuff to eat. We got two kinds of cake, only Mama said she hoped you wouldn't take any of the white kind, 'cause she had bad luck with it. Oh, here she comes now. Mama, here's the minister, and he hasn't gotten a bit tired waiting for you, 'cause I talked to him all the while, just as nice as I could. Little Peter Parleys. Ah, that old wood to bring in again. I have to bring it in all the time. I wished wood had legs like a dog, so's it could walk in its own self and climb into the box. I wish somebody'd invent an electric machine that'd bring in the wood. Uh-huh. I'm coming pretty soon. Say, Ma, I've got an awful lame back. I don't want to bring in any more wood today. Why, my back's so bad, I guess I've got pneumonia in it. Can't Bridget bring in the wood? Ah, she's always busier going off somewheres. Yes, I'm coming. Oh, Ma, can I have a couple of cookies before I bring in the wood? I'm so hungry I can hardly stand up. Oh, you always want me to wait. Why, that was an awful long time ago I had that bread and butter. Oh, Ma, I don't want to bring in wood. It makes me cough so. And I just bet you want me to bring in the wood and cough and get consumption and die. And then who'd bring in your wood? I'd like to know. Say, Ma, Harry Grover's mother gives him a penny every time he fills the wood box. Will you give me a penny? Oh, you have too got some. I saw a whole lot in your pocketbook. Well, if I'll bring in the wood, then can I go over to Johnny Wilson's and play Indian? Oh, you never want me to go anywhere. You're just as mean as you can be. Harry Grover's mother's awful good to him. Uh-huh, I'm coming. Say, Ma, can't I work my arithmetic first? Teacher says I won't pass if I don't work my examples better. Oh, yes, you think I can do everything to please you, and you don't do anything to please me. Say, Ma, I ain't going to bring in any more wood. I've struck. I ain't going to bring in any more wood till you pay me for it. I don't care if you do tell Pa. I ain't afraid of Pa. I'll just tell him I've struck and make him come promise before I'll bring in any more wood. No, sirree. I ain't a-comin' to bring in that wood. I've struck. I ain't got. What's that? Pa? Pa comin'? Uh-huh. I'm comin'. I was just a-foolin' when I said I wasn't going to bring in any more wood. This one is about the automobile. I just been down to Minnesota to see my Uncle Jan. I stopped me by St. Paul a while, just for a little fun. And there I seen an automobile that been the name you call. And you could take a ride on him without no horse at all. He been a pretty nice machine, mit rubber tires and things. Just sit him like a wagon on he fly just like mit wings. I asked that man what make him go. He said he had got wheels. He said he feed him plenty oats and call him automobile. I say I know I been grain swayed, just come from North Dakota, but I don't believe you make him go by feeding wagon oats. That man he laugh and shake his head and say I been good show myself. I say I think I punch your head and lay you on the shelf. So I picked me up a little stick, been laying on the seat, and bat me life that automobile just started up the street. I hollered, whoa, but he don't stop, and then you bat me life. I wish that I was at home in North Dakota with Annie, my wife. He bumped me up the sidewalk on and stopped and bucked me through the window of one them butcher shop. He split me nose by me face up. He knocked me almost dead. He punched the inside of me head all outside of me face. He hurt me eye so bad in one and blind just like a beetle. The other one he can see some, but only just a little. The last I saw of that machine, he been a bucking still. I tell my wife, when I get there, you bet I will not monkey some other time with any automobile. The Williams goat. Mary had a Williams goat, and he was black as jet. He followed Mary around all day and liked her, you just bet. He went with her to school one day. The teacher kicked him out. It made the children laugh and play to see the goat about. Although old Whackum kicked him out, yet still he lingered near. He waited just outside the door till Whackum did appear. Then William ran to meet the man. He ran his level best and met him just behind, you know, down just below the vest. Old Whackum turned a somersault. The goat stood on his head, and Mary laughed herself so sick she had to go to bed. Yeah. Ready? Yeah. How Pat stopped the car. Going downtown in a 4th Avenue car the other day, a big Irishman arose from his seat and gave the bell strap a sharp pull. The conductor angrily exclaimed, "Here, don't do that. You're ringing the bell on both ends of the car." "That's all right, sir," was the reply, "and I want both ends of the car to stop." A Dutchman's answer. Bill Jones was going to get married a day or two ago, and he forgot where the minister lived, so he started to find him out, as to have him come to the house to perform the marriage ceremony. So after getting down the road for 2 or 3 miles, he became fearful of getting on the wrong track. So he says to a big Dutchman, "I say, can you tell me where Mr. Swackelhammer, the preacher, lives?" And the Dutchman says, "Yeah." "You just walk the road up to the creek and down over the bridge, over upstream, then you just go till you come to the road that winds the woods around the schoolhouse. But you don't take that road. There, then you go on till you meet a pig pen, shingled with straw. Then you don't take that road either. Go on till you come to a big red house. Then you turn the house around the barn and see a road that goes up into the woods. Then you don't take that road. Then you go straight on, and the first house you meet is a haystack, and the next a barrack. There, he don't live there. Then you go a little further, and you come to a house on the top of the hill, about a mile, and you go in there and ask the old woman, and she will tell you better as I can. This one is about the liar's contest, and I'm going to do a couple of big lies. And if there's any of you out there that knows any bigger, I'll be glad, more than glad, to challenge you any day in telling a big lie. So here goes. You sure can't tell by the looks of a toad how far he's going to jump. If anybody had told me that Ezra Akins was the biggest liar in town, I'd have told him he was one of them things also, and that he could go there himself. That is, if he'd have told me to go anywhere for calling him a liar. I never would have believed it. Ezra Akins, deacon of the church, passing the collection box every Sunday for nigh unto 3 years, teaching a class in Sunday school, and the most quiet, unsmiling man I ever knowed. But it's true, there's no getting away from facts. I heard him tell it. It was like this. Down at Joe's store t'other night, the men got to swapping yarns, and they kept a-getting bigger and bigger and bigger until I figured I could get the biggest one out of Jim Helms. Everybody knows better than to believe Jim, anyhow, and he's always a-telling fish stories. So I turns to him and says, "Been fishing lately?" "Nope, not since I catched my last octopus up at Puget Sound," says Jim. "Well," says I, "them devilfish air mean things. They do get in nets sometimes." "None never got no net of mine, 'cause I didn't use a net," says he. "Well, how'd you get it? With a gaff?" "Naw, I never used no gaff neither. I just killed one outright and plumb scared another one tame." Now that sounded promising. So I says, "How'd you put it over?" "Well," says he, "that there tame one I was talking about seen me kill the other one, and it just naturally gave itself up and followed the boat clear to town, and it got so tame it eat out of my hand." "You don't say," says I. "How'd you kill the other one?" "Oh, Jim Jones and me was out fishing for rock cod, and the first thing we knowed, one of them critters had his arm nigh across the boat, and Jim he hollers, 'Lordy, we're goners!' And I says, 'Goners nothing,' and I just pulled out my penknife and cut that there octopus arm clean off." "Cut it off with a penknife?" says I. "Uh-huh. It ain't no trick if you just know how," says he. And then the ugly varmint kept stretching another arm over and another, and I kept cutting 'em off till I had 9 of them arms in the boat. Then the deacon cleared his throat. "Jim," he says, "octopus don't have 9 arms. They only have 8. But Jim, he was ready. "Sure they only have 8 here in these waters," says he. "But up there in Puget Sound, they often had 9. He knowed none of us ever been to Puget Sound, so what could we say? Says I. "What'd you do with all them ugly arms?" "Oh, we brung 'em into Seattle to show folks," says he. "Some of the chinks along the waterfront was tickled to death to have 'em. They claim they're fine eatin'. but they can have my share. And as for the other one, as I said, it tagged along, and when we got to the docks, I whistled to it, and it stuck up one arm. And I tied a rope to it and tied it to the docks so I could show folks how gentle it was. Why, you may not believe it, but that there critter had a sense of numbers, mind you. I'd say, come on now, Octy, stick up one arm, and he would. And then I'd say, now stick up two arms, and he would. Why, it's a fact. That there thing had the most intelligent eye I ever saw in a fish. And you weren't afraid? Asked the deacon. Nah, there weren't nothing to be afraid of. But, of course, they air kind of hard to kill. You do need a good penknife. Then Ezra, he cleared his throat again exactly the way he does before he says his scripture verse in prayer meeting. And he says, well, that was wonderful, but no more so than an experience I once had killing a cat. Well, we all looked at him kind of funny, but he went on in that quiet way of his. I had no cat I wanted to be rid of, but every time I'd get ready to kill it, it would be gone. But one day I saw it on the shed steps, so I slipped up as quiet as I could and fetched it an awful wham on the head with a club. It just rolled on the ground and kinked its tail twice and lay still. I was glad it was over so easily and thought I'd do the chores before I buried it. So I went and did the chores, and when I come back with the shovel, there sat that cat, a-washing its face. Well, I slipped around the other side of the shed and went into the house for my gun. And when I come back, I let him have both barrels. He went up in the air and same down plop without a struggle. Well, says I'll dig your grave in the morning. It's too dark now. Gentlemen, in the morning when I come out to do the milking, I nearly had a spell. There sat that cat on the steps, a-washing its face again. I was really getting nervous about it. I made up my mind that once and for all, that cat must be utterly finished. So I set down my pails, got my club again, and slipped up on it. I gave it a blow that stunned it, but by this time I was a determined man. I got the axe and chopped off his head. There, I exclaimed, your funeral comes right after milking. Gentlemen, I shiver yet when I recall what I saw when I come from the barn with the milk. There, struggling down the path to meet me, came that cat, carrying his head in his mouth. Folks, I ask you, can you beat it? Ezra, our deacon, a lion like that. Honest to goodness, there weren't a sound from a soul when he quit. One by one, the men got up and tiptoed out the door. And last Sunday, Ezra passed the collection box as usual, and the parson told me afterwards that it was the biggest collection they had had in years. My grandfather lived when a young man in the hill country of northern Arkansas, in the days when the buffalo still roamed the Kansas prairies. Later, he used to tell his grandchildren some of the wonderful stories of his experience during his pioneer days. One of his stories I shall never forget. In his own words, as near as I can remember, it ran like this. One day I tucked my rifle, an old gray nag, and went hunting up in the mountain. I went a little piece and saw a rabbit. Well, I shot that rabbit and put it up on the hoss and went on. After a while, I saw a deer. Well, I shot the deer and put it up on the hoss and went on. Didn't see nothing else to shoot at for quite a spell. But way up high near the top of the mountain, I saw a bear. Well, I shot the bear and put it up on the hoss. But the hoss was getting pretty old, and the load was too much for him, I guess. Anyway, his back broke. Well, I unloaded him and got out my jackknife and whittled me out a stout hickory withe, sharp at both ends. I ran the end in at the broken place and up underneath the hide, all along the backbone and all the way in. Then I slipped it back to the other way to the middle of the width, bridging the place where it was broke. Then I loaded the rabbit and the deer and the bear, and he carried them all right. Well, I was so near to the top of the mountain, and as I had never been there before, I decided to go on up to the top. When I got to the top of the mountain, it was about noon, so I stopped and made a fire and cooked the rabbit and ate it. Then while I was resting afore starting home, the moon came past. I'd heard fellers say that once every 4 or 5 years the moon comes so close to the top of that mountain that you could run and jump over onto it. And they swore that the moon was made of green cheese, and it was good to eat. But I had never believed that part of their story, and now here was my own chance to find out for myself. So I took a running jump, and I landed all right. I got out my jackknife and started to dig. Well, it was green cheese all right, after I got through a mighty hard crust. But woo, Wowee. Talk about skippers. You never saw the like. Why, them blamed things was big as rats and thicker than flies in sorghum time. I got so tuck up with the green cheese and them giant skippers, I forgot all about the moon being on the go all that time. And the first thing I knowed, there I was, way out over the valley, and not getting any closer to home. Well, if I didn't want to stay there with them skippers for the next 4 or 5 years, I had to do something and do it mighty quick. You know, a feller can usually think pretty fast when he has to. And in less time than it takes to tell it, I was busy killing skippers and skinning them and cutting their hides into strips and tying them together to make a rope. So's soon's I thought I had enough to reach pretty nigh to the ground, I tied one end to the corner of the moon and started down hand over hand. When I got to the end of my rope, I was still pretty far from the ground, farther than I had figured. But I couldn't climb back up again, and the ground was getting further away all the time. So all I could do was to let go and hope I'd land on a soft spot. But I never was lucky that way. I lit all right, and what made it worse, I got turned around in the air and lit head first. Well, sir, I struck that rock so hard, it split the rock right open. And my head went into the crack and stuck there, and I couldn't pull it loose, no way. Well, I had to hunt up a farmhouse and borrow a pickaxe to dig my head out of that rock. When I come back, there was a dog smelling around, just getting ready to make a dinner off in my head. Well, sir, that made me pretty mad, but I couldn't holler at him, not having my mouth along with me, so I just threw the pickaxe at him, and it hit him right on the end of the nose and split him all the way down the middle in 2 pieces. Then the dog began to run, and he couldn't keep his 2 sides together. And it looked so blame funny to see the other side half of the dog getting ahead of the one half. First one side was ahead, and then the other side was ahead. And then one side would get behind. And it looked so darn funny, and I got to laughing so hard, I woke myself up. A taste of country life. I got a layoff in July, And so I told my wife we'd go to Uncle Jake's and try a taste of country life. When we arrived, I told my uncle I'd been cooped up indoors, and now I'd like to try my spunk by helping with the chores. And when he said, "Guess not, by jings," I made him understand that I could do just anything to which I turned my hand. So when he turned away and said, with his strange quiet laugh, that I could go down to the shed and feed the little calf, I got a straddle of its neck as Uncle told me to. He never said a word, by heck, of what that calf might do. He said some calves at 3 days old would drink as fine as silk, then mentioned that I'd have to hold his nose down in the milk. It acted like it thought the pail was up in the air. It stamped its feet and switched its tail and gurgled in despair. It wrestled me about the place until my hand slipped off, and then with its nose right in my face, it gave an awful cough. It filled my face with milk and chaff, and with my eyes asquint, the things I said about that calf would not look well in print. Again with vim, it did refuse, and sloshed the milk around, the most of which went in my shoes, the rest went on the ground. It gave the pail an awful bunt halfway across the shed, then bowed its back and pulled a stunt that stood me on my head. When I arose and looked about, my soul was filled with gall, for Uncle Jake the foxy scout had stood and watched it all. The milk was dripping from my chin upon my new cafate. The bloomin' calf had 1 foot in my $7 hat. So when they dipped me in the suds and gently rubbed me down, I told my wife to pack our duds and we'd go back to town. A pier at Christmases to come. The year is 2053, and Santa's busy as can be at the North Pole AAA getting ready for Christmas Day. But things aren't like they used to be, old Santa says reflectantly. For now there's kiddies on the moon, plus those on Earth, and pretty soon I hear they're colonizing Mars, then goodness knows, perhaps the stars. So I must labor without pause, or be a tardy Santa Claus. Then you need triptychs right away, exclaimed a man at AAA. For you can bet your fur-lined boots a triptych slick for picking roots. And what you need it seems to me, is travel time efficiency. You need directions super clear to speed the trip from there to here, plus lots of detailed information like, do you need a reservation? And if you're hungry, where's the place to wine and dine in outer space? Well, that's just great, says Santa Claus. I thank you kindly, sir, because we're blasting off most any minute, and ho, 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 the sky's the limit. So Merry Christmas, see you soon, if not on Earth, then on the moon. The 12 days before Christmas cards. On the 12th day before Christmas, my true love said to me, I absolutely, positively cannot possibly see how our Christmas card list could number 403. On the 11th day before Christmas, my true love pleaded with me, you must do something about it immediately. Cut it, trim it, reduce it mercifully. On the 10th day before Christmas, I said to him proudly, I have worked for hours on the list, knocking off those who'll never be missed, so that now we just have to send to 393. Ten by 10. We haven't seen these couples since 1942. And must we send to Mrs. London Drew, who lived next door to Aunt Matilda Sue? Who on earth is Chauncey Brim? Have we ever known him? On the 8th day before Christmas, my true love trimmed and pared, scratching off everyone whom he thought he'd dare. Out goes George Jenkins, the mailman 4 years ago, and Jack Briggs, my 5th cousin, whom I never knew. And why keep sending to that Mary Ellen Crum? Because 100 years back she was your school chum. On the 7th day before Christmas, I joyfully joined the game and scratched away at the list, name after name. Down with the Jamesons, the Johnsons, the Tabors. It's just plain silly to mail cards to the neighbors. And that couple we met at the lake named Pike, I can't even remember what they looked like. On the 6th day before Christmas, we were feeling snug. My true love exclaimed mid kisses and hugs. We've done it, as I knew we could, from our list of 403. We've now got it down to a simple, logical 70. He mailed them out honestly. On the 5th day before Christmas, in the afternoon, our doorbell sounded its beckoning tune. I have so many cards for you, the smiling mailman said. There wasn't any room for them in the box, so I rang instead. On the 4th day before Christmas, the story was the same. From far and near, distant and dear, Christmas cards came. The culprit sent a lovely note. The Jack Jiggs wrote a line or two. Mrs. London Drew looked forward to our card. She is alone and 82. Mary Ellen Crum, a family picture in color, long and slim, similar to the beautiful one sent by Chauncey Brim. There were cards from George Jenkins, the Pikes, the Tabors, and bids to parties from the rest of the neighbors. On the 3rd day before Christmas, we bought more cards, addressed, stamped, and wrote letters by the yards. We wrote all day beyond twilight and mailed the last at midnight. On the day before Christmas, it was rather a bore. We had to rest up from the day before. On the day of Christmas, my true love said to me, "How many cards did we send out finally?" And I had to answer honestly, some new ones came in, unfortunately. So we mailed out 420 cards. Something's rewinding.